You are listening to ChartingWealth.com for Tuesday, the 4th of April, 2017. Of course, we jump into begin with SPY. What do we see going on there? Well, we had our weekly vertical crossover at the end of the week on Friday, which of course meant on Monday, April the 3rd, you were to look at the charts at 10:30 a.m. and see if it made sense to jump in after what we affectionately term idiot hour, and it was a good thing to do. In fact, at 10:30, we have the opening at $235.93. Gosh, all the way by, what is this, 12:30, it was down to $233.91, down a good dollar. So again, 235.91 to 233.91. That's actually $2 it was down already. So what we, of course, want you to do is do a virtual trade, a practice. And of course, if those of you who are a little bit new to this thing wondering, why is this guy telling me to buy the SPY when it's going down? We simply use this one fund to help us track. What we actually have spoken of in the past is when the S&P 500 starts going down, what do we jump into? We jump into SH, which is the inverse of the S&P 500. It's the ProShares short S&P 500. So we would have jumped into that around 10:30 at, opened at $34.47, hit a high during the course of the day of $34.77. Again, considerably smaller than its opposite brother, the S&P 500, and much easier to buy into at that much lower dollar amount. But again, the people who manage the fund endeavor to make it move up the same percentage as the S&P moves down. Those of you who don't know what we're talking about, weekly vertical crossovers, please, this is the key to everything we do. You've got to go to our website, chartingwealth.com, and listen to the training that we do on weekly vertical crossovers. It's something we have discovered as we've been doing this program that is like magic in the market. When you see the weekly, it is the weekly chart, crossover going up or down, it's always portended by a crossover in the same direction previously by the 2-day chart, and then at some point something occurs. Either the 2-day goes back in the up direction, or in this case, what happened was it was followed 2 weeks later by the actual weekly chart moving over and going down on the S&P 500. So we are quite happy with the success so far. The real key on all of this is to practice jumping into these markets and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Now, how do we practice? We practice with virtual trading accounts. We're not a stock calling service. We're not giving you investment advice. We are not in any way giving you investment advice. We want you to practice with us, and once you get good, you can make up your own advice and do what you think is best. We are simply an education firm. We don't charge anything for the materials we provide. We do it because we love doing this. And it also helps us a great deal in our own practice trading. Now, let's keep moving and see what's going on. So far, the weekly vertical crossover has been quite successful just in the first day alone. So again, hopefully you paid attention. Hopefully you were on our text list and you got notification as to the weekly vertical crossover over the weekend. If you don't already receive our text, then don't let another weekly vertical crossover occur that you're not aware of it. All you have to do is text to the number 33222 the word charting wealth. One big long word, charting wealth. It's our name. No space between charting and wealth, just one word. Text that word to the number 33222. Please do not send us an email or go to our Facebook page and put in 33222 charting wealth. Do that on your phone. Okay, folks, and when I say on your phone, on the texting application of your phone, not on your Facebook account. It's a little funny what people hear and what they don't hear. It's very, very interesting. Okay, let's keep moving through these charts. Let's go to the Qs. What's the Qs up to? The Qs was down 0.08% for the day. And again, we've got two green up candles, derivative oscillators in the negative on the 2-day chart, and our our PPO, our price percent oscillators, also in the negative. The weekly chart, however, is still up, so we have not called a down yet on the Qs. It's the NASDAQ 100, the tech stocks. We'll just wait and see. They have been sliding sideways for a while, and until and unless we get that weekly vertical crossover, we don't have a trade at this point on the Qs, unless you want to take some totally unnecessary risks. Again, our trade was on the S&P 500. And also, let's take a look at TLT. What do we see going on with our bond fund? Well, remember, we had a weekly vertical crossover all the way back on the week ending the 3rd of February, went up for a while, then dropped a little bit, up for a while, then dropped for a while on the 2-day chart, and then the 2-day chart took off again, crossed over going up back on the 22nd, and it's been some nice, strong up candles. If we look at our 2-hour chart, what do we see there? Well, we saw on the 22nd some up moves and a pullback, then a crossover going up back on the 27th, and it petered out pretty quickly, dropped, and now we had a new crossover going up strongly at 12 noon on Monday the 3rd. So a possibility of jumping in at that point. Again, what's trying to happen in the marketplace right now, my friends, as we've talked about, is bonds are trying to bottom. And if they truly have bottomed, which it appears they have, they moved down for quite a long time as we glance at the weekly chart, and they bottomed somewhere around 117. And they've bounced off of that. We've had the weekly vertical crossover occur. We've had that followed by the 2-day, and we're just waiting to see when bonds really take off. The volatility has been shortening quite a bit. And of course, if indeed the market continues to roll over, and probably once the NASDAQ rolls over, you might really see bonds shoot up. Now let's go back to our 2-day chart and look at our last chart. That is gold. What do we see gold doing? Gold, of course, crossed over on that weekly chart going up on Friday the 27th of January. Went up for quite a while, then started dropping over around early March, dropped until about mid-March, and then took off again going up. 2-day crossover occurred on the 24th. How are we looking on our 2-hour chart? We're just at the end of the day, finally, after a huge rollback from the 23rd all the way through the 3rd, finally had a crossover in the late afternoon. See how things look in the morning. There may be an opportunity to jump into gold and see if it will actually ride. If you can ride that pony, give it a shot. Again, that is gold, GLD. We do have that crossover hit in the afternoon on the 2-hour chart. Everything is set up for a nice little decent ride with the weekly chart, with their 2-day chart, and now that the 2-hour chart has rotated over going up. If you remember in the past, what worked so well for us in gold, so well, was our 4-hour chart. And our 4-hour chart actually started working again. It had not worked very well at the beginning of the year, just like it didn't work very well at the end of the beginning of the year in 15-16. It did the same thing in 16-17. However, it started working again. And what we've seen gold do is when it starts crossing over on that 4-hour chart, it's rather prescient. It works quite nicely. And if you start tracking it, particularly as the year wears on, you get into March, when it dropped over and went down, beautiful. When it started moving up at the mid-March, beautiful. And it dropped over there in late March. and looks like it's about to cross over going up on that 4-hour chart. So those you want to be careful as far as getting in on this up move. You might wait till that 4-hour chart gives you the go-ahead. Still negative on the derivative oscillator and hasn't crossed yet. Just a suggestion. Remember, we live, we learn, we make notes, we pay attention, we remember. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for being with us. You have questions, problems, concerns, let us hear from you. cw@chartingwealth.com. You appreciate what we do. First thing you ought to do is you need to register and get daily our podcast sent to your email. You can also go to iTunes, subscribe to our podcast. You guys have made us as high as I think we were number 6 last week or so. As far as stock trading podcasts go, thank you so much for that. I think you guys were number 1 as far as stock charting podcasts go. So thanks so much for all you do. But please go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, say something nice about us, and by all means, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Charting Wealth. Thank you so much, my friends. God bless. All the best from chartingwealth.com.